What's a movie you wish you saw in theaters? Wizard of Oz. Just to imagine sitting in a movie theater ready to watch a movie in the usual black and white, not expecting anything. Then surprise. Technicolor. Terminator 2. I saw this when it was released. I remember being amazed by all the special effects, especially when the T-1000 came out of the black and white tiled floor and killed the cop at the vending machine. I remember the scene where he is climbing up the back of the cop car with those hook arms, freaking me the FK out in the theater, and that scene with the nuclear bomb from her nightmares. The Matrix. My parents as a whole were, and are, wonderful, but not letting me see The Matrix in theaters is something I will never forgive them for. That one blew my freaking mind. No one left right away when the movie ended. Everyone just sat there in awe of what we just saw. Jurassic Park. Seeing the T-Rex scene with the kids in the car would have been awesome on the big screen. It was. Aliens. I've been told that the power loader scene with Ripley Link. YouTube.com/watch V=J51DFR Luke was the 80s equivalent of Thor arriving on Wakanda. I bet so many people lost their shit when that scene first happened. Saving Private Ryan. I saw it on its opening weekend. I had been talking to my girlfriend about possibly enlisting while we were waiting for the movie to start. I had a change of heart. I've known a lot of others who had the opposite reaction. Saving Private Ryan and Black Hawk Down probably did more for Army recruitment than the Army's actual marketing campaigns, particularly for the Ranger Regiment. Lord of the Rings. Return of the King was a hell of an experience on the big screen, especially everyone getting up 3 times to leave only for another scene to start rolling. I will never forget the scene where they were lighting the beacons on a big screen. Chills. Star Wars back in 1977. Sure, I was only a month old at the time, but I wish I could have experienced seeing the beginning of it all on the big screen. I was 10 when my mom took me to the theater to see Star Wars. I remember the line wrapping down and around the block. The theater was so packed my mom was seated behind me, but some guy gave up his seat so she could sit with me. I remember when the Star Wars crawler appeared. I saw Star Wars 18 times that summer. By the time I was 11, I had Southwestern trading cards, action figures, bedsheets, curtains, Star Wars album, etc. Man, I wish I still had all that stuff. I miss being excited like that. I was 13. I remember also that everyone was bragging how many times they had seen it. Some were like 56 times that summer. And I remember thinking, how did you get your parents to take you / buy tickets that many times? Wow, lucky. Interstellar. That's visually mind-blowing on the small screen. To have seen it on the big screen must have been mind-blowing. Not to mention the soundtrack is incredible, so to be surrounded and immersed in that would have been phenomenal. Saw it in 70mm IMAX. Nothing has topped it since. Fury Road was close, though. Close bracket. Apocalypse Now. Unfortunately, I'm too young to have seen it in theaters. Ever since I did a paper on the depiction of Vietnam War in movies for my degree. I wish I could have seen this movie like it was intended to be seen, without any pre-existing knowledge, on the big screen. I can only imagine the feeling going into this movie clueless, when I was still this moved and disgusted at the same time, while knowing about the plot. Saw it in theaters last year during the 40th anniversary re-release, and took my girlfriend who's never seen it. It was an amazing experience. I saw it back on its 20th anniversary re-release, he said, crumbling to dust, and at one point about 70% of the way through the film broke. So we got an impromptu intermission. I believe this was a director's cut as well. So honestly the break was kind of welcome. The original Fantasia. The movie that invented surround sound. Excellent pick. The Thing. It was overwhelming. Like cringing down in your seat, terrifying. The dog scene was bad. The spider scene. The amount of spontaneous screams in the theater unprecedented. Inception. Jaws. Just to be a part of that blockbuster craze would be an incredible experience. I second checking local theaters for midnight showings. I lucked out like crazy. I actually got to see it at Hurricane Harbor, Six Flags Water Park in Arlington, TX. They did dive-in movie nights, where you could watch a movie from the wave pool. The only one I saw, and only one I refused to miss, was Jaws. Kids were wearing shark fins, had shark floats, etc. It was awesome. Coco. The colors on a big screen would have been beautiful. I would have cried in public. Mad Maximum Fury Road, my favorite movie of all time, and I missed it in theaters. The best way I can put it is I expected a cheesy throwback to 80s action movies. Instead I got one of the greatest action movies of all time that clearly said I don't give a duck, and it was glorious. I'm so lost on how so many people hate that movie. It was just a 2-hour car chase. I'm like, yeah. And that's what was so ducking awesome about it. It made no apologies for what it was, and never once did it try to be anything different. It's such a goddamn great movie. 2001, A Space Odyssey. Probably one of the most mind-blowing, game-changing movies at the time. I feel like it would have been one of those moments of entertainment that you vividly remember, and you can't forget how incredibly grand and almost intimidating the Scorlink B/3-esque of Kiziag must have sounded. Saw it in the theater. Transcendent experience/memory. Even the apes were amazing on the big screen. Back to the Future. My local theater did a trilogy marathon on October 21st, 2015, the day the future became the present. It was an awesome experience seeing one of my favorite movies on the big screen. Sunshine. Some films are just meant to be seen on the big screen. This is such an underrated movie. I remember liking it a lot, then the movie changed gears and became a horror film, and I was so confused. Am I thinking of the right movie? Psycho. Schindler's List. Let me tell you a story about seeing Schindler's List. I'm a senior in high school, USA, and my humanities teacher tells all her classes you can substitute the semester test if you go see SL. Write an essay and attach the ticket stub, I'm like easy A, on it. So, without knowing anything about SL or the length of it, my bestie and I buy a midnight ticket. We see that's what cool high school kids do. My friend falls asleep 20 minutes and we see an early bird, and I'm left watching the most gut-wrenching scenes at midnight to 4 AM in the morning, essentially by myself. I awaken her to leave, and she's like, "What wrong with you?" And I said, "I've been crying non-stop for hours." Then, we walk out to my car in complete coldness. Total darkness. In Feb winter. We are totally alone. No other cars in the parking lot, except a handful of employees, and by the time I get behind the wheel, I completely lose it again. I got that A, and I thank my teacher for that experience. I learned a lot on that early morning in 1994. Baraka and Samsara. Yes. Two of the most beautiful films ever made. The Exorcist. When the version you haven't seen came out, it had a theatrical run. I think it was around 2000. I felt the same way. I had to see it on the big screen. Mine was a matinee, so it wasn't packed jammed. Upvote from me. As a kid I loved Star Wars. But I was born in '83 and never saw it in theaters. Then they re-released in the late 90s, and even if it was a half-assed cash grab, I ducking loved it so much. Yep, I went to a midnight showing of A New Hope when they re-released it in '96. That was ducking great. Dunkirk. Pretty sure I got hearing damage from that movie in the theater lol. I loved that about this film. The gunfire was shocking every time. Independence Day. It was the summer movie of 1996. It was that big. It dwarfed everything. Lord of the Rings. Nazgul screamed so loud my ears were ringing for 2 days. Worth every cent. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.